right, testing. Okay, good morning. We are live. How is everybody this morning? Better. Home? No, actually, she is at her house and doing well. Checking her blood pressure because she's on a new blood pressure medication, so it could make her a little woozy and a little tired. So she's checking it and just kind of laying low, but she really wanted to be in her own house. So, and I understand that. Yes, there is no place like home. So she's doing very well. She's already checked in with me today. Thank you for asking, though. All right. Anybody have any questions on anything that we've gone over? Today is it. This is it. Any questions?
I have one about the
Okay.
Okay, so because like I work in ALS and stuff, I have 11. I think it's a 3 already, but I'm not sure if it has a picture on it.
Okay.
They're taking a picture for them.
So you have two ways of doing it. Okay. There's no way for you to kind of find out if you're in the clearinghouse. There's no process for that. So you're left with two options. The first is put your application in, wait to get back from them. If it says incomplete, go get a background check. Now that does add probably about a week to the processing time because now they've got to go back into the clearinghouse and find you. And it's not automatic. So you can do that. That's a possible savings. That way, if you have one, you don't have to pay for it. But remember, you're going to pay with time instead. So you got to figure out which is more important to you. The other option is to just go get a level 2 background before you register, and then everything is there, and that moves the registration process through quickly. You will need a level 2 to work as well. So if you don't have one, you're going to need one anyway. But I understand that it's, the economy is rough. I mean, I get it. I put gas in my car the other day. It was $60 to fill my tank. So I get it. I do. If you don't have to spend the money, don't. But remember, you're going to pay one way or another, either with money or time. So you got to figure out which one is more important to you. Okay. Good. Questions? Good morning. All right. So you guys had chapter 10. Everybody get to it? It's a pretty easy chapter, pretty short. Most of the information is stuff we already know. Does anybody have any questions about chapter 10? We're going to go through a few things today as well. Let me go ahead and get your scores. ALEXA. Thank you. Thank you for playing along. Tanya. Kira. That's fine. Carolise. Naraya. Christopher. Jada. Peyton. Alex. 95. Okay, do you have 5 through 9 for me by any chance?
95, 100.
Okay, and then 8 and 9.
Oh, I didn't do the 8 one.
Okay.
That's for today? Yeah, I didn't do that one. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Jessica?
The last one, the other two, I didn't do 7.
8. It was 8 and 9.
Yeah, 8. And then 9, I think was 9.
Okay, thank you. Rebecca? She's not here. Amy? Thank you. Bernanda? Thank you. Stephanie?
95.
Stephanie, do you have 9 for me?
Yeah, 95 as well.
Thank you. Shayla? Thank you. David? Ariana? Thank you. Owen? Thank you. Owen, do you have Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. Any final questions for me?
I was just gonna ask about the CPR. Did you have time to check
I did. So, yes. This is a little complex. Okay. So, today is graduation and I'm like got all these things planned. So, I have two options. Either tomorrow morning, 9 to 1, or Monday afternoon, 2 to 6. I need 5 people to make it work effectively, to be able to get me in here. So,
I can get either one, so whatever time works for any of them.
What did you say?
tomorrow 9 to 1 or Monday 2 to 6. Neither one of those works for you. Okay.
I work both days.
What is your schedule?
Tuesday, Wednesday.
You're free Tuesday, Wednesday. Ooh. Okay. Let me check the master schedule. Tuesday is a problem for me because I have the game show. So I can't do Tuesday. Let me look at Wednesday.
You might not even have 5 people in here.
Yeah, I know. That's the concern. Okay. Are you available on Wednesday, the 21st? So all I have is 2 right now, right? Nobody else needs CPR? Okay. No worries. All right. I'll do it on the 21st at 9 a.m. Let me put it in right now. Okay. CPR, 9 a.m.
Yeah, we did it that first Saturday. There's only 2 of us.
And I will advertise it in the shop. So hopefully we'll get a couple more. Okay. So next Wednesday, the 21st, next Wednesday. I put that in my head, next Wednesday. Yeah, Tuesday, I definitely can't do it. All right. So we have Maritza. Good morning. I passed my test. Yay. Congratulations. That's amazing. And Pisces says, congrats on your passing. So great job. I love when people come back and let me know how they did. It makes me very happy. All right, last class. Did you register for the test yet? If not, you probably should, because the testing process takes 3 to 4 weeks. So remember, you still have this room available to practice in, but that will end at some point. I'm not going to let you in, 8 months later. And the reason I do that is actually to protect you guys. And a lot of people don't really understand this. I cut your practice time off after a month. In extreme situations, come talk to me and I'll think about it. But a month after graduation, you guys should be testing. So here's what happens. I've had this happen before, and I had to kind of develop this rule because of that. People would wait, either because of finances or they just didn't feel confident or life got in the way or whatever. They would wait. And 8, 9 months later, they would think, oh my gosh, I've got to take that test. I really need to get to work. And they would come in here to practice. Well, they don't remember anything. And you guys are just brand new baby graduates that are still trying to get it all down. And they come in here and they start asking you, oh my gosh, I can't remember. How did you do this? What do you do for that? And now instead of practicing, you're trying to teach. And that's not fair to you. Right? Does that make sense? So that's why I have that cutoff. It's to protect my new graduates. So once you're no longer a new graduate, my new graduates will be protected. Does that make sense? So if you haven't registered for the test, you probably need to do that. You are ready. You're way more ready than you think you are. And the reason for that is you're comparing you to me. That's what you're doing. When you're practicing and you're starting and stopping and messing up and, oh my gosh, I forgot to do this and that. And in your mind, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail. No, you're not. You're comparing you to me. That's not fair. I've been doing this 35 years. I can't make it look hard. Okay. And if I did, you guys would all run for the door. Right? I have to make it look smooth and polished. I'm the teacher. But that's not how they expect you to look. You're being compared to other yous, not to me. Do you guys understand the difference there? You are much, much more prepared than you give yourself credit for. Can you just walk into a room and start doing the skill without introducing yourself or washing your hands? Would it even cross your mind to skip the opening? No. At the end of the skill, what's the very last thing you have to do? Closing. And what's the very last action of the closing? Yeah, end skill with clean hands. If you can remember those two things, that's half of every single skill. You guys are prepared. You are. Now, when you pass, and I'm hoping you'll come on and give me a comment that you passed so we can congratulate you, or stop by, or send me an email, or you guys got every way to contact me. Okay. Let me know that you passed and I'll congratulate you. But I am going to ask you this. Was it as bad as you thought it was going to be? And every single student says, no, it really wasn't. But let me tell you what I saw. Okay. You guys are prepared. Good. Okay. All right. So there's my pep talk for today. Once you get certified, though, there is a process that we have to talk about to keep your certification. And this is going to be a renewal process. So you're going to have to renew every 2 years once you get your certification. That doesn't mean you have to take the test. It's not a test thing. You take the test once. As long as you renew on time, you're good. You never have to take the test again. Yay. Test is bad enough once, right? So make sure renewal is a priority for you. That way you don't ever have to retake the test. A lot of people, a lot of CNAs get into it, decide, this isn't for me. I don't want to do this. And then they don't renew. And then a year later, they realize, oh my gosh, my electric bill is sky high. I got to go, and I'll go back to CNA, even though I didn't like it. It paid well. So, but now they've got to get recertified, which is $155 and a test. Where if they had renewed, it's only $55. So you're saving money by renewing. You're saving stress by renewing. So renewal is going to be really important. My suggestion to everybody, hey, I know money's tight. I get it. I absolutely get it. But you're used to living on what you've got now. You're kind of used to it. So your very first paycheck, when you go to work as a CNA, your very first paycheck, take $55 out of it right off the top, put it in an envelope for renewal. That way you always have renewal money. No matter what life throws at you, you protect your ability to make more money. Never sacrifice your ability to make more money on a short-term obligation. Does that make sense? Okay. So your first check, take $55 out, put it in an envelope, put it away, and there's your renewal money. That way you're guaranteed to be able to renew because that's what it costs. Good. Now I've got a video I'm going to show you on this. All the notes are here. Now this video there's a lot to it. Okay. It's about 15 minutes, but you don't have to take notes. Everything is here. The video is also on my website, my main website, foryourcna.com, under after certification, because that's where you would be, for renewal, after certification. So when renewal time comes and you can't remember, oh my gosh, I know she showed me a video. I don't know what the requirements are. I don't know what I need to do. Go to that website and this will be there for you. But you've also got this page in your book as well. Somewhere around April, usually late March, early April, I start getting phone calls from people all over the state. How do I renew? How do I renew? How do I renew? And a lot of those I just send to voicemail, because on the voicemail, that time of year I have, if you're calling about renewal, go to this website and watch this video, because I will get a couple of hundred calls a day on that. So you need to know where to find this, because I'll send you to voicemail. Okay, good. So here are all of the notes for the video I'm going to show you. This is where you can find that video. Go to foryourcna.com. Under After Certification, you'll see CNA renewal instructions, and it's right there for you. So let me go ahead and show this video. We'll get this one out of the way, and then we'll talk about some other things related to employment. How to renew your Florida CNA certification, a guide for Florida CNAs. Brought to you by foryourcna.com. After you pass your state exam, you will receive your certification card in the mail. This card gives you valuable information. Take a moment to look it over. Check your name and address to make sure they are correct. Make a note of your CNA certification number. You will need this for employment and in-service credit. Your certification also comes with a convenient wallet card. Sign this and keep it in your wallet for handy proof of certification. But one of the most important things you need to pay attention to is the expiration date. It will be located near the top of the blue card in the grid. In Florida, CNAs are divided into two groups, odd year group and even year group. Everyone in the even year group will renew their certifications in even years, such as 2018, 2020, 2022, and so on. Everyone in the odd year group will renew their certifications in odd years, such as 2017, 2019, etc. When you become certified, you will join one of these groups. But which group you end up in has nothing to do with when you test. You will be assigned a group when you receive your first certification, and you will remain in that group even if you allow your certification to lapse and you retest later in life. So how do you know when you will have to renew? It's easy. Check your expiration date. Every certification will expire on May 31st, either in an odd year or an even year. You need to know which group you are in. This is Jenny. Jenny became a CNA in 2017. She was placed into the even year group, so her expiration date will be in even years. She is joining a group already in progress, so her expiration date will be the same as theirs, regardless of when she became certified. Everyone in this group has the same expiration date. So, do I have to take the test again? No. As long as you meet all the requirements and renew on time, you will never have to take the state boards again. In order to renew your CNA certification in Florida, you must meet two requirements and pay a small fee. You must work at least once as a CNA for pay in this renewal cycle. You must complete the required number of in-service hours and pay the renewal fee. We will look at each of these in more detail in the following section. In Florida, every CNA is required to perform nursing-related services for monetary compensation within the renewal period in order to renew their certification. That means they have to get paid to do CNA skills.
This rule is in effect to ensure that CNAs are using their skills so that they do not forget what they have learned. But there are no specific amount of hours that are required. But be careful. If you are not currently working in healthcare as a CNA, you may not be able to renew. But there is a way. Follow me to see Jim's story. This is Jim. Jim became certified as a CNA in 2016. Jim planned on going to work in the local hospital after he became certified. But Jim's uncle needed help at his bank and hired Jim. Jim likes his new job at the bank and he's doing very well there. He doesn't want to leave the bank, but he wants to keep his CNA certification active. He worked hard to get it. One of Jim's bank customers, a supervisor at the local home health agency, mentioned that they were looking for weekend CNAs to care for some of their new clients. Jim immediately filled out an application. He was hired and now works only one Saturday a month. Jim kept his regular job at the bank, but still met the requirements for renewal. Jim will keep one of his pay stubs for proof of the work requirement. Now let's look at the second requirement, Inservices. In Florida, continuing education courses for CNAs are called Inservices. You must complete a certain amount of continuing education every renewal period in order to renew your certification. You must complete continuing education Inservices in certain topics every renewal period. These will include bloodborne pathogens and infection control, domestic violence, medical record documentation, resident rights, communication with cognitively impaired individuals, CPR skills, and medical error prevention and safety. So remember your expiration date on your certification. You need to compute how many months you will have that certification to determine how many hours you need. You will need 1 hour of in-service for every month that you are certified. First, locate the date that your certification was issued. Then locate your expiration date. Count the number of months that you will have your certification in this certification period. So if this certification issue date was January 1st, 2017, and the expiration date is May 31st, 2018, there are 17 months of certification. This certification will be valid for 17 months before renewal. So this certification will require 17 hours of in-services for renewal. Once you have done your required topics, the remainder of the hours can be in a topic you choose. Choose topics that relate to your work environment or an environment that you want to work in. The topics you choose are entirely up to you, and the choices are endless. In-services can even help you if you want to change jobs. How? I'm glad you asked. Let's say that you currently work in a dementia unit. But then your friend tells you about a job opening at a local hospital. You've never worked in a mother-baby unit, but you really want this job. You can complete in-service topics related to this new opportunity to show motivation. This shows that although you lack experience, you are willing to learn. Supervisors like that. Now that you know how many in-service hours you need for renewal and what the required topics are, you need to find out how to get them. Most workplaces require an orientation session for new employees. Some employers will give you in-service credit for completing these modules during orientation. In-services can be awarded for watching videos, classroom instruction, formal group discussions, or even self-study at home. This is a great interview question. Do you offer in-service training hours? In-services can also be awarded for topics discussed in monthly workplace meetings. Sometimes hospitals and other community agencies will host continuing education opportunities. These are often advertised online or in community newspapers or bulletins. But for many CNAs, the easiest way to get your required in-services is online. There are many online in-service providers. Each is structured a bit differently, but most have some sort of free trial. Simply search for CNA In-Services Florida in your favorite search engine. If you are unsure if the provider you want to use is recognized by the Board of Nursing as an approved provider, you can check them out on CE Broker. Go to cebroker.com. Under Course Search, select your state and your profession, and then click the Begin Search bar. Now click the Providers tab to access a list of approved providers. You can also search for courses right on this website. So far, we've learned how to work at least once as a CNA for pay this renewal cycle, and we've learned how to complete the required number of in-service hours. So all that's left is to renew and pay the fee. The bottom of your certification card contains the information you will need to renew. Your specific renewal instructions are printed here. Once you access the website listed on your certification card, flhealthsource.gov, click on Renew a License. After logging in, follow the prompts, check off the requirements, and pay the fee. Renewal can take less than 15 minutes to complete as long as all of your requirements are met. You will sign in with your username and password on your certification card. You do not have to send anything to the Board of Nursing to prove that you've met the requirements. You only need to send proof, which would consist of a pay stub and in-service certificates, if the Board of Nursing requests them from you. You must keep your proof for at least 4 years after renewing. Never, ever lie on your renewal. The Board of Nursing does periodic audits. The penalties for lying on your renewal are severe. Make sure you've met all the requirements before completing your renewal. You now have all the knowledge you need to renew your CNA certification in Florida. Remember to look at your new certification card for your next expiration date. Until then, happy caregiving.
All right. Any questions on renewal? Okay, so as long as you renew on time, you never have to take the test again. So that's an important consideration when you're, making your.
Do you have to be on a healthcare setting in order to renew?
Right. You have to, well,
The
so,
reason I'm asking is, let's say, because as a CNA, you're allowed to work at a clinical setting in the school system.
right.
Would that consider?
So the way the statute is written, it says performing CNA services.
Okay. Which is
It doesn't say anything about setting.
Okay.
It just says performing CNA services for pay.
Okay.
So remember, you don't have to send in proof unless you're audited.
Okay.
And then if you're audited and you send in proof and they don't consider that a valid work, valid completion of the work requirement, then they'll work with you on a plan.
Okay.
Okay. They don't just automatically take your certification.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, it's not setting specific. Now, some states it is. Some states only renew CNA certifications if you're actively working in a nursing home. And the nursing home is the one that transmits all of their hire data to the CNA registry. So if you're not actively working at a nursing home, they don't renew you. Yeah. So you have to be aware that all states are going to handle this a little bit differently. Do you remember me saying not too long ago that there's only 2 places legally that you have to be a CNA to work? Nursing homes and home care if you don't have an HHA. You have to have something to work in home care, either a home health aide or a CNA. Other than that, you're not required to be a CNA to work there from a legal standpoint. Now, your employer may require it as part of their employment process. So let's say I'm hiring a store clerk next door. Okay. As the boss, I get to decide what kind of education and experience I want in my new hires. So I can say, I'm only going to hire somebody with a PhD in art history. I can make that requirement. I'm the boss. Wouldn't do me any good, but I'm the one that makes the rules. Does that make sense? So some of your employers out there may say CNA required, but remember from a legal standpoint, the state statutes, the only two places you have to be certified is home health, if you don't have a home health aide, or a nursing home. So if you're working at a hospital, it's not required legally that you have a CNA. So that's why in some states, the only place that they will renew CNAs is the nursing home. But you would want to know that before you go there. Because let's say you plan on working at a walk-in clinic and you want to keep your CNA. Well, you're not going to be able to renew in that state. So you need to be aware that some of these laws are a little bit different.
What if doesn't matter if you're like, say you went part-time at like a nursing home.
Currently employed. Doesn't matter whether it's part-time, full-time, PRN, currently employed. Okay. Now, the really sad part about all this, and I hate to say this, I really do, but a lot of your employers don't know that rule. They don't know that. So there's one state in particular, and I get a lot of feedback on this state. When you go there, the hospitals there advertise that they're looking for CNAs. Okay. So you get into the hospital, you get your CNA, you get into the hospital, and then when it comes time to renew, you can't renew. So because you can't renew, because you're working in a hospital, not a nursing home, now you're uncertified. You're no longer a CNA. And the hospital says, well, we can't keep you unless you're certified. Well, I can't get certified because I work here. And it's this round and round thing that happens because the employer isn't aware of the legalities of your industry. So you have to make them aware. Does that make sense? Okay. So just be aware. In Florida, it's not setting specific, and we're focused in Florida, obviously. That's where we're at. It's not setting specific. It just says CNA duties for pay. So it doesn't matter where you're working. You'll be able to renew. Okay, good. Keep up with your continuing ed. Now, I'm going to be, at some point, I keep saying this, but I got to get on the ball with it. I'm going to actually be providing continuing education. And most continuing education for CNAs is so boring. Oh my gosh. I've been through some of the lessons and they are like seriously boring. So my goal is to do them more interactive, more live format. So I used to go live every Thursday for about 45 minutes. And my goal is, and to give a lesson, like we might talk about renewal, in states that, just like what we talked about, I might develop a 45-minute presentation on that. And then at the end of it, I give you a website to go to. You fill out a 10-question quiz, and then we submit it for in-service credit. You have the ability to ask questions and things. It's much more engaging than just reading this boring page that's written by a nurse locked in a closet somewhere. So I will be starting that back up. It'll probably be sometime next year, but you'll have the ability to do, I go every week. So if you come to all of them, you're getting 4 hours a month instead of 1. Okay, good. Makes sense. So stay tuned. I'll be emailing you guys when I get that up and running. I just have to figure out how to clone myself. I really do. Okay, so this is what your certification card is going to look like when it comes in the mail. We call it the blue card. All of them look the same, whether you're a CNA, an LPN, an RN, advanced practice registered nurse, or what you guys call nurse practitioners, nurse anesthetists. It's all the same. It all looks like this. What's going to change right here, the license or certificate number, yours will always start with CNA. So RNs will always start with RN. LPN will always start with PN. So this kind of helps differentiate the different modalities. And then behind that is going to be a string of numbers. You also have an expiration date. Pay attention to this because it's not going to be the same for all of you. You may expire on May 31st of 2025. Well, let's look at that. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So 10 months from now, her certification may expire. How many hours of in-services is she going to need? 10 hours. Now yours expires May 31st of 2026. Now you guys are sitting in the same class. You're getting certified at the same time. It's not based on when you get your certification. It's actually based on your social security number. So you may have yours for 22 months, a whole year plus 10 months, so 22 months. So how many hours of continuing ed is she going to need? 22 hours. So pay attention to your expiration date because that tells you your first time around how many hours you need. After that, it's every 2 years on that date. So that's just 24 hours.
Oh, so it's just the first.
It's the first one because you're
okay.
joining a group already in progress.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Now I understand.
Yeah. So that's what you're required. Me personally, I like simple. I simplify everything that I can. So to me, everybody should just have 24 hours. You can't go wrong. If you require less than that, if you've got 24, you've overachieved. Good job. You're good. We'll renew you. Okay. But if you want to do the math, it's count how many months you were certified. That's how many hours you need. It'll never be more than 24. Okay. So let's say you want to move out of state. This is going to be on page 172 and 173 of your book. If you want to move out of state, you're going to have a little work to do here. It's not just as easy as moving to New York and, getting a job. There's some work you're going to have to do because this is a certification. So the first thing you're going to have to do is find out what it takes to get a certification in their state. So let's stick with New York. New York's easy. You call up New York, you look up their information here. You call them up, say, hey, I'm a Florida CNA. I want to be a New York CNA. How do I do that? And they say, cool, we need CNAs. So all you have to do is fill out this form online, do one of our background checks. We can't get Florida's. You got to do a background check for us. And we'll pay a little fee because nothing is free. And we'll send you a certification for New York. Easy peasy. You don't have to give up your Florida one. You're going to get it in addition to. Okay, good. So you can be certified in as many states as you want to, but each one of those states is going to have a renewal requirement. And you're going to have to meet the needs of that state's renewal requirements. And remember, they're all different. So while you got them on the phone, you can ask them, okay, that's cool, I'll do that. But what is your renewal requirements for CNAs? That way, if New York is one of those states that, yeah, we don't renew you unless you're working in a nursing home, then where do you need to go get a job? At a nursing home. So that's going to help you narrow down your job search once you get there. New York's just like Florida, though. They're wide open. Now, there are some states, though, that don't accept any other state's anything. And I'm looking at you, Tennessee. If you try to go to Tennessee, they're going to say, nope, sorry, we don't. If you want to be a CNA here, you've got to start all over. You need to go through the training and the testing to get certified here. So every state's going to handle this a little bit differently. It's not just as easy as, okay, I want to move to North Dakota. I'm going to move to North Dakota and figure it out then. This may not transfer. Good? Does that make sense? All right, so just be aware of that. But you've got all of the states listed on page 172, 173, their address, their phone number, their fax number. And the things that you would want to know is, how do I get certified in your state? The process is called reciprocity. That's the name of the process, where they give you a certification in one state based on the fact that you've got one in another. I do want to give a little scam alert here, though. Like I said, I'm plugged into a ton of groups on Facebook, for CNAs. And there is a group of people, and I try to shut them down every time I see them. But there's a group of people that get on there and say, I can get you a certification in 35 states. DM me. That is a scam. Or, have you gotten your universal CNA yet? That is a scam. They will ask you, okay, the fee is $175. Send that to me and I'll get you what you need. You'll never see that $175 again, because there is no such thing as a universal CNA. Trust me, I know these laws inside and out. And these are scam artists that are trying to profit off of people that don't know. So be really careful with this. Now, on the nursing side, there's something called the compact for nurses, because nursing education is standardized across all 50 states. The same things have to be taught. Doesn't matter if you're, in New Jersey, New York, or New Mexico. Doesn't matter. It's the exact same program. So because nursing is standardized, they have something called the compact, 35 states, where as an RN in Florida, I can join the compact and then I can go to any of these states and work without anything extra. Okay. That doesn't apply to CNAs. CNA education is not standardized. It's not. So they can't have that compact. So just be careful of scams out there. All right. So let's talk about finding a job in healthcare. This is completely different than finding a job in other industries. And most people don't know this. Let's say you want to get a job, just plain old job. You're looking for money. You're probably going to go onto one of those online jobs boards, see what's listed there. And you'll apply to anything that sounds interesting or you think you're qualified for. That's how most people get a job. Or maybe you're shopping in your local big box store down the road and you think to yourself, I could work here. And you go to their little application kiosk and you type in your information. Working in healthcare does not work like that. And I need to explain to you a little bit why. So last year, I guess it was last year, I was actually hiring for a sales associate next door. And I thought, like everybody else, I would just go onto those online jobs boards and put a post up and I would get applications. I knew that it cost money, but I didn't know how much money it cost. Every one of those online jobs boards that you guys search charges individually for job postings. So for me to advertise a job opening next door and put it on just 4 places, 4 online jobs boards, was going to cost me more than I was willing to pay for the employee per week. I can't afford that. I mean, it was legitimately over $500 a week to post on all those places. I can't afford that. So I went on to Facebook, put a post, put a note in the front window and got some applications. So those job boards cost money. Now let's think about healthcare for a second. Do you remember me saying that we are 1 million CNA short? You guys remember that? Nationwide, we are 1 million CNA short. Every healthcare facility has CNA openings. Now, if they're having to pay all of these online jobs boards all the time for a position that is always there, they don't have any money left to pay you. You guys see how that could be a problem? So industries that have what we call chronic openings, right? A position that's never, ever completely filled, chronic openings, they're not all going to be found on those online jobs boards because they're expensive. So how do we go about finding a job if we go on to snag a job and there's only 2 CNA positions listed? How do we go about finding a job? And that's what I want to talk to you about here. Okay, good. And I've got notes for you on page 174. So the first thing that you have to do is kind of narrow this down, right? Where do I want to work? Because if you're going to apply to absolutely every CNA position in our county, you're going to be weeks filling out applications. So you got to narrow it down. Where do I want to work? What's going to work best for me? And you're going to take into account a lot of things. Things like how far am I willing to drive? What shift do I want to work? How much personal care do I want to give? Or am I more on the technical side of things, right? Do I want to work more with machines and things like that, you know, people or things? You have to think about how closely you want to work with a team. Some of you guys are really social and you don't do well on your own. Some of you guys are not social and prefer to be on your own. So what is your personality like? If you are not a team player, working in the hospital is not going to be your thing because that requires a team dynamic. If you are a team player, home care, avoid. There's no team. So do you understand how your personality is going to play into this? If you are the type of person that absolutely hates kids, I would not recommend pediatrics. If you're the type of person that hates adults, pediatrics is open. So we have to kind of think about what we like and where we're going to thrive. So that's where that personality quiz comes in. Remember, we've talked about this. It'll help narrow it down. Anybody take this yet? What'd you get? Hospital. Okay, very good. Very good. So this is there to help you with narrowing that down. Once you kind of have an idea of where you think you want to work, so you got hospital, but down below you probably had things like rehab and probably pediatrics was on there and maybe hospice. So you could look through those two and say, oh, well, yeah, I got hospital, but this one looks more up my alley. I'm really interested in this. So you can look at the other reports as well. Okay. So once you've got it narrowed down, then we can start our job search. So now that we know where we think we want to work, we're going to start out with the jobs boards, which is kind of where everybody starts. But I need you to understand this is not telling you the whole picture. This is telling you a little small piece of the picture. But let's start there. And these are some ones that you can take a look at. These are probably the most popular ones. Indeed, Monster, Simply Hired, Career Builder, USA Jobs, Snag a Job, LinkedIn, and iHire. These are the ones that are probably most popular. But I want to talk about this one for a second, USA Jobs. A lot of people don't know this, especially in the healthcare sector. This is where all your government jobs live. Government jobs have awesome benefits. They also have a lot of opportunity for advancement. So if you're looking for a long-term career, this would be a really good place to focus your job search. So what kind of jobs am I talking about? Well, this would be things like working for the VA system, working in a federal corrections unit. Everybody gets scared about that. Oh man, the people that get hired on in the jails and the correction units, they keep those jobs. Those jobs do not come open very often because when you're working in a hospital, you're working with a significant amount of people that are crazy. But that's not why they're there. They're there for appendicitis or gallbladder, right? We're not treating the crazy. So when you walk in that room, you have no idea what you're walking into, and you are in there alone. But not in the jail system. You're never alone with your patients, ever. So there's actually a much greater level of job security and personal security when you're in a correctional facility. And that's why people that get in there never leave those openings. Great benefits, great pay, and secure work environment. I mean, what more can you ask for? You can also see things here like working for FEMA or I think there was one actually for, oh gosh, what was that? It wasn't the Forestry Service, but there was a CNA position for something, another federal. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But they have a whole employee health section. And they were looking for CNAs for that employee health section. So there's lots of opportunities here that you wouldn't think about at first, might have been Department of Homeland Security, actually. I think it was DHS that I was looking at. So there are some jobs there that are kind of outside of your normal, run-of-the-mill assisted living facility, nursing home, hospital, home health. So take a look at USA Jobs, especially if you're looking for benefits. They probably have the best benefit package of anyone. I actually had a student about 10 years ago that went to work for the VA in Tampa. And that got tuition reimbursement to go on and get her nursing, and stayed in the VA system and got transferred over to Hawaii. And now she's working in Hawaii 3 days a week and living the life. That's right. That's right. So, there's a lot of benefits to government jobs, a lot of potential to relocate if you want to relocate. The rest of them are all just your basic run-of-the-mill jobs boards. But remember, each one of these costs money. So if I've got a position that's always open, I'm not going to advertise on all of them. So if you're going to start using jobs boards, don't go to Indeed, see very few openings, and then give up. Because the person that you're trying to interview with may be on Simply Hired or Career Builder, and they're not on Indeed. So if you're going to use jobs boards, you got to use them all. You'll see different ones. There is a shortcut I'm going to give you in a minute, though. There's a shortcut. But this is not efficient. This is just not efficient. We can do it, but it's not efficient. But that's not going to show us all of our employment opportunities. The best thing to do is once you decide, okay, I am a hospital person. I really want to work in a hospital. And you've got that in your head. Well, you got to look around your community. How many hospitals do we have? In our county, we have 3. So you want to go to each one of their websites, their actual websites. So if I want to get hired on at a hospital, I'm going to go to, we're not going to say it out loud, but hospitalxyz.com. And when I get there, you're going to see up at the top, you'll see a whole bunch of menu options. And one of them is going to be careers or jobs. And you're going to click on it. It's going to bring up a page like this where you get to search for jobs. And you want to search their website. It doesn't cost them anything to advertise an opening on their website. So instead of basing all of your job searches on Indeed and Simply Hired and Career Builder, start going directly to the websites of the employers. That's where everything's going to be listed because this is free. Good? Does that make sense? So here in our county, we have 3 hospitals. You would want to go to all 3. Now, when you go to those hospitals and you see maybe 3 CNA openings or PCT openings, 3 openings there, you're going to want to apply to all 3 because they don't share applications. A lot of people think that when they go online and they fill out an application, it goes to the place they're applying to. It doesn't. It doesn't. So let's say you go to Hospital XYZ, you fill out 1 application on there. There's 3 positions. You fill out 1 application. Your mind thinks that application went to Hospital XYZ. It went to a human resources company. That human resources company compares the job description to your application. And if the 2 do not match exactly, your application gets tossed. So if the job description says BLS required, that's another name for CPR for healthcare workers, but you have on your application CPR certified, the system is not going to accept that because what was required on the job description? BLS. So if the job description says BLS, what does your application have to say? You want to make them match exactly. That way it gets through that first filter. But that application, even though it got through the first filter, only goes to the one department that you applied to. They don't share it they don't say, hey, this person isn't right for me. What about you, Sharon? Do you want them? It doesn't work like that. So if there's 3 positions, you want to fill out 3 applications. Hospitals are hard to get hired on at because a lot of this process is automated and the filters are very strict. So if you're trying to get on at the hospital, my advice is apply often. Make sure that your application matches the job description exactly. And there's actually a couple of websites that can help you with that. They can, you put the URL of the job description and you upload your resume and it'll tell you what to change. So you can look for those. It's pretty cool. But you want to apply to all positions and you want to apply often, probably about once a week. They're hard to get in. So if you have a particular place in mind that you want to work, go directly to their website. That is probably the best way of applying because you're going directly to them. I'm going to make this easy for you. If you go to my website, foryourcna.com, after certification, remember we were just at CNA renewal. If you go up one, it's local employers. What I did for our county, this is only for Hernando County, is I went through and I've got, this is Pasco, but little south. I put every hospital on here, every nursing home and rehab, every assisted living facility, home care agency, and other. And each one of these are clickable. So if you click this card, it's going to take you to their website, the jobs portion of their website, the CNA listings of the job portions of their website. So this is one click. And it takes you where you need to go. So I've made this really easy for you. I've done all the work for you. Okay. But this is only for Hernando County. But if you aren't sure where you want to work, going to every single website is going to be a little time consuming. So you might want to narrow this down. Remember I said that there's a shortcut? The shortcut is Uncle Google. Google helps us with this. Because Google has access to every single website out there, all of them. And the jobs boards are only going to show you what they're paid to show you. Google crawls every single website out there and pulls those opportunities. All you have to do is know how to ask Google for that information. So if you go onto Google and put CNA job openings and then wherever you're looking to work, Spring Hill, near me, Tampa, whatever. And it will give you a lot of the openings that aren't going to be on those online jobs boards. So this is kind of a shortcut. Okay. It's always best to go straight to the source, straight to their websites, but this can give you some ideas of what might be available. Okay, good. Questions? A lot of people don't know you can ask Google directly, and it's much, much, much more accurate than an online jobs board. Social media can be your friend here as well. A lot of facilities, in fact, more facilities use social media now than ever before. So all of the nursing homes and hospitals in our area have a social media presence. They're on Facebook, they're on LinkedIn, they're on Instagram, they're on usually not Snapchat, but they are on social media. So if you know you want to work at Brooksville Healthcare, go find them on social media, because when they have a job opening, they're going to post it on their social media. And it's a great way to get in. It's a great way to make first contact. I'm interested in applying. I've gone to your website. I look forward to hearing from you for an interview. It's a great first contact. You're not going to get that just going and applying, right? It's a way of connecting. Does that make sense? So social media can be your friend when it comes to looking for opportunities. But probably the most important one out of all of these, so we've got a lot of ways to find a job, but the most important one is your own network. Everybody knows somebody that works in healthcare. There is someone in your social circle that works in healthcare. It's the dominant industry in Hernando County. You know somebody that's working in healthcare, whether it's your best friend's mom or your uncle or somebody, your neighbor, so somebody that works in healthcare. Now, the reason that this might be important is because most places have what we call a referral bonus. And there's a lot of reasons they offer this. First of all, it saves them money. They don't have to advertise. If I tell you, hey, if you've got any friends, bring them to us. And if we hire them, we're going to give you some money and them some money. It's a win-win. The reason that they do that, first of all, you guys are much more likely to recruit for them. But the second reason is personality conflicts is the number one reason that people leave jobs. We talked about that. When you have a problem with the job, it's usually the people, right? Well, if you're referring her and you like her and you guys get along, because you're not going to refer somebody you don't like, then we've reduced the amount of personality conflicts in our facility. Does that make sense? So look at your network. Find out who works in healthcare that you know and ask, are they hiring? Who do I talk to? What's the process? And you might even get a bonus out of it. Okay. Other ways, these are more traditional. Visit the facility in person, go to job fairs, community events, and some trade magazines can help as well. But usually go directly to the website, try Uncle Google, try some of the online jobs boards as a last resort. So application tips, make sure your application matches the job description, apply to all positions listed, and apply again if no response. Assume if you don't hear back from that facility within 5 days, your application was tossed. That is a safe assumption, and they don't notify you. It would be nice if they did. I'm sorry, you don't meet the criteria for this position. It would be nice if they let you know, but they don't. So you're just sitting on your couch waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and nothing is happening. So if you don't hear back in 5 days, assume that your application was discarded and try again. So we found a job that we want. Well, let's go back. We know what kind of job we need. We found a job we want. We applied and we got an interview. Good job. Now what do we need to do? Now what? So we're going to talk about some interview tips. This chapter 10 went over this a lot, but there's a few things I want to pull out because they're questions I get asked a lot. So the first thing is on page 175. The first thing I want to talk to you about is dress. So how do you dress for an interview? Certainly business professional is appropriate. That's what everybody wears to every interview. Business professional is fine. But there is a saying, dress for the job you intend to get. Anybody ever hear that saying in high school? All right. So if we're dressing for the job we intend to get, and CNAs wear scrubs, that means that scrubs are appropriate for entry-level interviews. But those scrubs need to be neat, clean, pressed. They need to have lines in them. Don't take them out of the dryer and shake them off and throw them on like we do for class. We want sharp creases. We want to look professional. If you don't know your way around an iron, take it to a dry cleaner. They do. The scrubs need to be solid in color. Darker is better. Darker is more professional. So what you have on is an appropriate interview outfit. Shoes should be closed-toed, so some sort of an athletic, covers the entire foot. You want to try to go with muted colors, like all white or all black, not neon orange and green. And visible tattoos should be covered until you find out their tattoo policy. Okay, good. So that's how we should be dressing for an interview. Now you can, if you're more comfortable in professional, that's fine. You can go with professional. The problem, though, is that nurse manager that's hiring you, they work on the floor. They work with patients. So what are they used to seeing? Scrubs. And if you show up in a nice dress and some heels and your hair and makeup done and dangly earrings and the whole 9 yards, they're going to look at you and go, yeah, you look good, but you look more like a receptionist. I need somebody who's actually going to be able to work. You can't work in those heels. Does that make sense? So when you go in scrubs, it gives them an idea of what you see is what you get. And that can be important for first impressions. Does that make sense? Okay. So scrubs you can't go wrong with scrubs, but if you're more comfortable, and this is why I have you wear them to class. When you first put your scrubs on, you probably felt a bit like an imposter. Like, this isn't, they're comfortable, but I don't know. Is this me? Is it really me? I don't know. You have to get over that. And that's why you wear them to class, because now you're much more comfortable in your scrubs. Make sense? But if you want to wear professional, that's fine. Arrive early, 10 to 15 minutes early, not Tuesday early. Don't go like hours or days ahead, just 10 or 15 minutes. But you have work to do while you're here. And this is the point that most people miss when you're going for an interview. You are there to interview them just as much as they're there to interview you. You do not want to agree to spend 8 or 12 hours of your day away from your family doing a job that you absolutely hate, no matter how much money they're paying you. So you've got to get a sense of, is this place worthy of me? So when you're there 10 or 15 minutes early, you should not be on your phone. In fact, your phone should not even be in the building. Your phone should be in the car. You should be looking around. How long are the call lights going off? How is the staff talking to one another? What is the odor like? How is the receptionist? Are they friendly? Are they mean? How long does it take for them to come out and get you for your interview? All of these things are going to play into how they're going to treat you when you go to work there. If those call lights are going off for 15, 20 minutes and nobody's even addressing it, what kind of care are those patients getting? Yeah. Now, you've been trained to give good care. Do you think you're going to last in a place like that? No. So if I noticed that would be I absolutely would bring it up in the interview, 100%. In the time I was here waiting, I noticed that the call lights weren't being addressed. Is that normal for your staff? Is that the kind of culture that exists here? They need you. They don't just want you, they need you. But you need to make sure that it's a place that you're willing to be. So while you're there, that early time, that is your opportunity to judge them. Does that make sense? Okay. So don't just go and sit and wait. You've got some work to do while you're waiting. Be odor neutral. Don't smell like a lot of perfume. You should smell clean. No smoke odors of any kind. Okay. Let me tell you a little bit about smoke odors. For those of you that smoke or vape, it does attach to your clothing. Here's the problem. Most facilities are now non-smoking facilities, including vaping. So that means that on your break, if you are a smoker or a vapor, It means you have to go completely off campus to participate in your particular vice. Now, the time it takes you to go completely off campus, do your, take your break, whatever. In your mind, you're not going to count the time it took you to get off campus as part of your break. So that 15-minute break just turned into 25. Now, the supervisors all know this. They all know it. So if you come in smelling like any sort of smoke at all, they're just not going to hire you. Because that's not fair to the other people working. If you're going off campus twice during the shift and it's taking you way longer than it takes most normal breaks, your coworkers have to cover you for that. And they're just not going to do it. So who in that scenario, if nobody's covering those patients, who's going to suffer? The patients. So these are things that nobody else is going to tell you out there. Don't smell like anything other than soap. Okay. Make sure you smile. Act like you want to be there, even if you don't. Act like it. Because this is a stressful day. But it's not your last stressful day. When you get out there and work and doctors are yelling and nurses are yelling and patients are yelling, that's a stressful day. If you can't smile during an interview, you're not going to be any good to anybody on the floor. So pretend, fake it, smile, act like you want to be there. Make eye contact. Half of our job is observation. Half of our job, remember, that's what sets us apart from everybody else. Half of our job is observation. If you can't make eye contact, how in the world are you going to be a good observer? This is exactly how these interviewers are grading you. This comes directly from the people that are, I own the scrub shop, right? We're the only one in the county. Where do all of these nurse managers that are about to hire you shop? Yeah. They've all mostly started right in this room. I've been doing this 18 years. Those people that are going to hire you started out in the same chairs you're sitting in. They know this. They come in and they shop with me and they say, hey, here's a tip. I want you to tell the students that are graduating to make sure that they're making eye contact. Because I just have 4 people in interviews and not a single one of them would look me in the eye. Didn't hire any of them. This information that I'm giving you is coming straight from the people that want to hire you. I've got a direct line, guys. Shake hands firmly. Oh, I don't know why they don't teach this anymore in high school. To properly shake a hand, you have to be standing. You never, ever shake a hand while you're sitting. If I come over here and do this, nope. You need to stand up before you grasp my hand. You do not shake a hand while you're sitting because it's a power dynamic. If I come up to you and I'm standing and you're sitting, it automatically makes me superior and you inferior. I have just put you in your place. I own you now. I can absolutely lowball you. I'm going to give you the very lowest pay that I can get away with because you have no self-confidence. You have no awareness of your own worth. So be careful with that. That sends an absolutely huge nonverbal message to the person you're interviewing with. So to shake hands, you always stand. When you shake hands, it's not one of these things. Nobody's going to kiss your ring. Hand out, thumb up, grasp firmly, once up, once down, return to middle, and withdraw. That is firm grasp, but you don't want to arm wrestle them. Now, if you are a sweaty hand person, when you get nervous, right? A lot of us get sweaty hands when we get nervous. So while we're walking to the office, my hands will be here. And when we get in the office, I can shake the hand. I'm just going to pull it out of my pocket. When I do, I'm going to wipe it off and shake hands. Okay, so pockets are good. I swear that's why pockets were actually invented. Answer questions thoroughly. Complete but brief. You want to respect their time. If they ask you a question, you want to give them the answer, but try to make it as brief as possible. So something like, why did you leave your last job? You can say something like, I didn't feel that management was adequately supportive. That is a perfect answer for why did you leave your last job? Not, well, okay, listen, they hired this new girl and she wasn't doing what the rest of us were told to do. She was like doing everything herself. And I went to management and I complained, but they didn't do anything. So a group of us got together and we went to management and we threatened to quit, but they didn't do anything. And I finally had enough that I just said, I'm out. Okay. They don't need all of that detail. I didn't feel that management was adequately supportive. I said the same thing, just in two different ways. Does that make sense? So think about the answers to the questions they're most likely to ask and have some answers ready. You want to be brief, but complete. Does anybody here have more than 4 jobs in the last 5 years? Okay, it will come up. It will come up. So if they ask you, can I ask why you have such a disjointed work history? You need an answer for that. So this is your time to kind of come up with one. And it could be as simple as, well, I had some transportation issues and that kind of affected my ability to, get to work on time or when I was scheduled. I've since solved those issues and I'm ready to move forward. Perfectly okay. Or I was in a horrible accident that affected my ability to perform well, and I had to find the right place for me, something like that. But you need to have an answer for that because it will come up. So think about some questions that they might ask and start working on your answer strategies for that. Ask questions at the end of the interview. Now, in your book on page 1, I think it's 170. Hold on. Let me borrow your book here. 176. On page 176, I have a whole bunch of questions there for you because you're new to the industry. You're new to the industry. Oh boy, we got lots of questions here. Okay, hold on, guys. I'll get to you. Hold on. All right. So you're new to the industry. You don't even know what to ask yet. You have no idea what to ask. So I've given you some questions there that might be important for you. You don't need to ask all of them, but you probably need to pull 2 or 3 out. Because if you get to the end of the interview and the person interviewing you says, do you have any questions for me? You know it's coming. If you say, no, I'm good, you look either uninformed or uninterested. So you need to have a couple of questions that you can pull out. Okay. So I've got a whole bunch there for you. You can look through and find ones that are relevant to you. Now, when you're doing this, when you're interviewing and you're asking questions, I always recommend that you have a little notebook in your pocket and a little pen. So you can go to like the Dollar Tree and get like the little tiny notebooks that fit in your pocket. Have something to write stuff down. And this is why. If you get an offer, you don't want to just keep it in your head. You need to write down the specifics. They're not going to give you a written offer during an interview, but they may make a verbal offer. You have no backup for that. You have nothing to refer back to if they give you a verbal offer. So if they say, I'd really like to hire you, we're prepared to offer you $18 an hour with an extra $1 for shift differential and an extra $1 on the weekends. And if you agree to that, you'll be working on the second floor and you'll need to start orientation on Monday. So that's in our medical office building across the street. You'll go to room 212 and meet with Regina at 8 a.m. on Monday. and you'll be in there for 3 days. You need to be in just regular clothes for those days. And then starting on Thursday, you'll shadow with Jasmine. And our uniform color here is hunter green. So you'll need to be in hunter green on Thursday. Okay? All right. We'll see you next Thursday when you shadow. Are you going to remember any of that?
No.
All you remember now is, okay, I got the job. And green. That's it. That's all. So you're now 2 days later, you're calling up the facility going, I'm supposed to be somewhere. I don't know where. Well, that receptionist doesn't know either. So if somebody makes an offer, you need to pull out your notebook and you need to jot all of that down. It also cements what the pay is because you've got it written down. Remember, it won't be a written offer if they give it to you in the interview. And if you don't have anything written down, you have nothing to refer back to. Then it's just a he said, she said type thing. Okay, good. Good. All right. So ask questions during the interview. Let me talk about this one. Oh my gosh. Leave family, friends, and pets at home. I've got 2 stories for this. So this one young CNA goes in to apply at a hospital. She gets an interview. And before the interview, before she ever got there, before she goes into to check in at reception, this older lady comes in on a walker. And sits down on the couch in the reception area. And the receptionist just kind of thought she was there to visit somebody or, some visitors coming and going all the time. It's this old lady sitting in the reception area, no big deal. So the person that's applying comes in, walks over and sits down a couple of chairs away. So we've got a CNA applicant and we've got an old lady in the waiting room. The manager comes out to get the CNA applicant, takes her in the back, goes through the interview, and asks, do you have any experience? Tell me a little bit about what you've been doing, where you've been working, what kind of experience you have. And she says, oh, hold on a minute. And she gets up and runs out of the room. Now, the manager thinks, oh, she's probably got a nervous bladder. She's got to go pee, right? She's a little nervous. The CNA applicant comes back in with the old lady and says, I've been taking care of her for the last 4 years. So tell her how good I am. Tell her. And the manager's like, okay, this is not how we do references. I don't know what to ask this lady because you're right here and she's not going to give me an honest answer. So don't bring people to your job interview. Now, the next one I was actually a part of. Years ago, I was working over in Orlando at an older hospital that was being renovated. And the nurse manager on our unit was off on maternity leave. And I was just kind of filling in, doing some of the things while she was on maternity leave. And her office was literally a closet. I mean, it was literally a closet. And on the other side of the wall, they were doing a lot of construction, renovating. So I have this older, and I was young then, but I had this older nurse come in for an interview and she sits down, we have this interview, but as we're talking, I hear this scuffling sound. And all I can think of is, oh my gosh, there is a mouse in this office. There's got to be a rat running around. And I'm like freaking out because I don't want this older lady to freak out, right? So I think now is a great time to go tour the unit. So I said, hey, you want a tour of the unit? So we get up and we walk out and we tour the unit and we end in the break room because I'm not taking her back to that office. There's something in there. We get back to the break room, we sit down and I'm talking to her, going over, the different job requirements and opportunities for advancement and everything. And I'm hearing that scuffling sound again. And I'm like, what is that sound? She says, what sound? I said, I hear like a scuffling, like an animal or something. She says, oh, you're probably hearing my precious. What's a precious? She says, oh, it's my little teacup something. Little tiny dog. Now, I've got little dogs and I love my little dogs, but there's a time and a place to have them. And in your purse during an interview at a medical facility is not the time nor the place. And I said, oh, and you brought Precious with you today. And she says, oh, yes, I can't leave Precious behind because she's got separation anxiety. I said, okay, so what is your plan for Precious should you get the job? And she says, oh, no problem. See, I've got this purse here that she is in and it's vented. You can't even tell. So it'll just go in like in the corner of the break room and I'll just take her out on my breaks. It's no big deal. No problem. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch. And that ended the interview. So don't bring your pets. I have a dog. I have 3. But I have one that is a puppy with separation anxiety. And right now he is not in his crate and he is probably tearing my house up. But I'm not bringing him in. So leave things that don't belong in an interview home. Okay, good. All right, so let me go back up here. Anthea says, good morning. When resitting the written, you get all, give you all 60 questions. Yes, Anthea, if you have to retake the written exam, you have to do all 60 questions and it will not be the exact same questions you got the first time around. There are 6 versions to the test and they have different questions on them. So even if all 8 of you guys are testing in the same room at the same time, you all have different questions. So when you retake the written, if you fail the first time and you have to retake it, you get a totally different test. So yes, you will have all 60 questions. Oh, Carolise, are you here? I can't tell what time. 10:08. What time is it? Carolise here? No. All right, Carolise says, hey, Patty, I have my yellow book to drop off. I'm outside the classroom. I'm really sick. Didn't want to sit in class. Okay, Carolise, just if you can hang out till 11, I'll take your folder next door and you can drop off your book. Just hang out till 11 if you would. And Anthea says, I can't get to your... Okay, so Anthea, my Thursdays, I'm not having right now, but it's normally Thursday at 3. I had to take some time off of that because I've got some really big projects going. So I'm hoping to restart that in January, if I can make that work, okay? So I apologize, Anthea. I just don't have that available to us. All right, so let's talk about a thank you note. So at the end of the, this is going to go through all the steps. So dress to impress, make a packet. We're going to talk about this in just a minute. Let's talk about it now. When you go for an interview, make a packet. You should have your resume, a copy of your blue card, not your original. Never take an original. A copy of your CPR and first aid cards. Any certificates that you have, you'll get one today. And if you're going for home care, a copy of your driver's license and car insurance card. So you want to have all of that together in a packet, take it with you to the interview, shake their hand, give them the packet. The reason that you want this is it makes it easy to hire you. If you don't do this and they call you up and say, hey, I'd like to hire you, but before I do, I need these items in your employee folder. Can you get them all together? Drop them off. Human Resources will check them in. When your file is complete, we'll call you and schedule you for orientation. Or I can pick up the phone and say, hey, you want to start Monday? As an employer, which one am I going to do? Easy. Yeah, the easy one. Save them time. So if you take the packet, this is all stuff they need for your employee file. Make it easy to hire you, but there's another reason you want to do this. When you go for your interview, you don't have much to stand out. You don't have a lot of experience. You know, you're kind of new at this. So you're not really going to stand out. We can't hire you if we don't remember you, and you're not the only person I'm interviewing today. If I'm interviewing 5 people, you are going to kind of fade into the background. So at the end of the day, when I'm getting ready to go home, I'm going to clean up my desk. And if I come across your packet, I can flip through it and go, oh, yeah, I remember her. Oh, she was good. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I forgot about her. Okay, I'm going to put that here and let me think about that. It's a way of getting back in front of the interviewer without physically having to be there. Remember, you can't get hired if you're not remembered. Now, there's another way to get remembered in just a minute that we're going to talk about that's super important as well. But make a packet. Packets make it easy for the employer to hire you and remember you. Make a good impression, shake hands, stand up straight, be polite, eye contact, answer questions, ask questions, make sure you understand the job requirements, be prepared, be confident, and you need to be able to explain why you're a good choice. We'll talk about that in a minute too. I've got a whole formula for that. So you're going to come to a part in the interview, every interview, it doesn't matter whether you're trying to get on at Burger King or Goldman Sachs, everybody's going to ask you this question. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Everybody knows this question is coming. This is universal. Everybody knows this question is coming. And if I asked each one of you in here today, you'd go, I don't know. I don't know what to say. What do you want to know? That is not going to make you memorable. We need to be memorable. So I have a formula for you for this. I have a way for you to craft your own tell me a little bit about yourself speech and make it good and make it memorable. So those of you who are playing along at home, go to FL-CNA training and get the review sheet. We're going to be working on the back of the review sheet. So let's talk about how to do this. So to answer this question, you need four things. You need 4 things to answer this question appropriately. You have to know your past job roles. So what were you? Were you a server? Were you an assembly line worker? Were you an accountant? Were you a truck driver? Were you a wiki-wachi mermaid? I mean, what were your past roles? Okay. You need to figure out 3 soft skills you possess. I'm going to help you with that. You want to know why you want to work in healthcare. Why are you here? What brought you to this? Yeah, you got to kind of have an idea of why you're here. And then we want to know 3 positive personality traits. So these are the soft skills. So once we know where we've worked, so let's say that my history is in serving, right? I've worked at 6 restaurants as a server. That's my past history. So while I was a server, I developed some skills. I developed active listening. Right? I can't take somebody's order if I'm not listening to what they're saying and repeating it back to them. Have you ever noticed when you go to a restaurant and you tell them, okay, I want the burger with fries, medium well, and they write it down. Okay, so you want a burger and fries, medium well. She's repeating it back to you. That's active listening. Attention to detail. You want that cup to be filled when it gets empty. You don't want to have to ask for it, right? They're going to be tipped based on the service they give. Part of the service that we grade on is how empty the cup got. So attention to detail. This has nothing to do with healthcare, does it? You guys all have skills outside of healthcare that apply to healthcare. So you need to go through this list and find out 3 that apply to you. Adaptable. Were you the type of person that wasn't afraid to take on other tasks? I am seriously adaptable. I can work in a very wide variety of settings, doing a wide variety of things. So this started way before my nursing career. Let me tell you about this. My first job in healthcare was working for a hospital in their purchasing department. Had nothing to do with healthcare. Just as an 18-year-old, I got paid to shop all day long. I had $1 million budget. It was awesome, right? But our sister department was sterile supply. That's where they sterilize instruments and make the surgical packs for the doctors that are doing surgery. And they lost an employee in there, and it's our sister department. So my boss said, hey, you would make a good central supply tech. So you're going to work 8 hours here and then 4 hours there every day. So I got a part-time job in my sister department because they needed help. I was adaptable. Now, same boss, I'm now working both of those jobs. And he says, well, you know, the person that, this is a very small hospital, but the person that opens the mail every day, she's out on maternity leave. So we want you to open all the mail, pull out the checks from the insurance companies, make deposits, log them in, and get them over to accounts receivable every day. Okay, I was adaptable. These are not tasks that are related to my initial employment, but I was like, yeah, okay, I can do that. Okay. So if you have that drive, if you're the type of person that says, no, it doesn't say in my job description, I'm not doing that, you are not adaptable. Don't use that one. Don't use that one. Find another one. But you might be extremely optimistic. Are you a sunny personality? Okay. You might have great organizational. This is not me. Oh my. This is not me. If you saw my desk at home, my husband walks into my office at home and he's like, I can't even stand to be in here and leaves. I have got stacks of papers and books and I know where everything is. Don't you dare touch anything. Right? It's a mess, but I know where everything is. So I can't claim organization. I would not put this on my 3 soft skills. Time management, we all know that my time management could use some work. So I'm not using that. Okay, I show up like 3 minutes before we go live. Okay, so I'm not using that one either. But attention to detail, I'm your girl. Adaptability, I'm your girl. Right? So I'm going to find 3 things here that relate to me and only me. Does that make sense? Okay. Then I want to know why I decided to work in healthcare. Was it because I want advancement opportunities? I'm tired of being stuck in a dead-end job. If I'm a server, I can't really go anywhere. I'm a server. That's it. That I've reached the top. That's it. So if I want something with opportunity for advancement, I needed to look outside of my industry. I might be here because I need something more flexible. I've got kids. They have soccer. You know, I need something more flexible. Home care might be a good opportunity for me because it may be able to work around my schedule. This is probably why most of you are here, though. You're driven to help others. You want to help. You want a more hands-on care, a more clinically focused role. So you have to figure out why you're here. And then we want to explain to them a little bit about who we are as people. So the first 3 that we talked about was skills that we developed in our work life. These are 3 things that define us as people. They're a little bit different. Okay. Soft skills are work related. Character traits are people related. So are you flexible, dedicated, energetic, positive, responsible, honest, passionate about the care you provide, dedicated to teamwork? I mean, what are some descriptors of you personally? And then once we have all of that, and you can literally circle them. Okay, I've put all of this there for you. And then you're going to put it together down here. Okay, my past experience has been as a server where I excelled in time management, prioritization, and diffusing difficult situations, but it lacked opportunity for advancement. And I really wanted to be in a position where I could actively help others. So I took a CNA class and I'm certified now, and I'm excited to start my career in healthcare. I think I would be a great addition to your team because I'm empathetic, I'm dedicated to teamwork, and I always put the patients first. Okay. Isn't that much better than, well, I was born in Virginia and mommy and daddy divorced and I moved in with grandma? That doesn't tell them anything about why you're the right candidate. This does. So do you see how this formula can really help you with your tell me a little bit about yourself speech? If you go in with a little bit of confidence and you have this speech down, you'll get the job. You will. This is going to put you in a category above everyone else. So this is what it would look like when you get it all done. After the interview is over, you want to send a thank you note. Every interview I've ever gone to, this was part of my interview process. I always had this waiting out in the car, always. If I went to an interview, this was written out the night before. I just left the dear blank because I didn't know who I was going to interview with. So I would have it written out, dear blank, thank you for the opportunity to interview for this position. I look forward to hearing your response. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need additional documentation. Sincerely, Patricia. Okay. Now, when I got out of the interview and into my car, I wrote in the name of the person I spoke to, dear Brenda. I put it in the envelope, took it directly to a mailbox and dropped it in, a post office, dropped it in. It got delivered the next day. So emails often don't get open. Right now, I've got over 2,200 emails in my email box. I can pull it up and show you. I've got over 2,200 emails, and that's just in the last week. If you send me an email, chances are I'm not going to look at it for the next 3 weeks. Just not going to. I get an insane amount of emails that I have to answer. I'm not going to pay attention to yours. But if you send me something in the mail, I don't get thank you cards very often. I'm going to stop and take the time to open this. Remember, you can't be hired if you're not remembered. This puts you back in front of that interviewer one more time. So you were there for the interview and made a good impression because you had your speech. You left a packet so they remembered you. You sent a thank you card that shows up the next day. They're going to be on the phone going, oh my gosh, if you're going to work this hard just to get the job, you might actually show up for the job. And you'll get it. Do you see how those things work together? If you do these things, you will get the position. You will. And it doesn't matter whether it's healthcare or finance or upper level management or these tips work for every industry. Okay. Sometimes you will be offered a PRN position. I do want to talk about this because a lot of people turn these down. They're looking for a full-time position. You don't want a full-time position. Not right out of the gate. You want a PRN. There's a couple reasons for this. Florida's a right to work state. Like they can fire you at any time for any reason, but they can also be sued for wrongful termination. Even though it gives them the right to fire you, they know that they can be sued. They better have something to back it up. So if we hire you full time and you turn out to be a seriously crappy caregiver and you're putting my patients at risk, I can't just walk on the floor and fire you. I mean, I can, but I'm probably going to get sued. So we got to go through this whole long dance first. First, I have to do a verbal warning and put it in your employee file. Then we have to do a written warning and an action plan. Then we have to do a supervisor intervention. And then I have to put you on probation, and then I can fire you. In the meantime, you're hurting my patients right and left. Do I really want to go through all that? This is why most healthcare employers are not going to offer you a full-time position right out of the gate. They're going to offer you a PRN position. Think of this as a paid long-term interview. When they hire you for PRN, it's not on call. You're not wearing a beeper. They don't call you in when they need you. You actually tell them, I can work on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And any Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday they have open, you're going in there. When you go to work, if they don't like you, they're just not going to put you on the schedule anymore. They didn't fire you. We just don't need you this week. You guys see how that works? Okay. So it's a great way for employers to try you out without a commitment on either part. Now, if you do a good job, they're going to offer you that full-time position. They will. PRN, no benefits. You don't get health care. You don't get benefits, but you usually get a higher wage to offset it. So if benefits aren't important to you, PRN is usually a good option. But it's probably what you're going to be starting out with. Don't turn down a PRN option. Understand that they're giving you an opportunity to win their love. All right. Any questions on all of that? Just because you're leaving us doesn't mean we're leaving you. You still have a ton of opportunities to review and learn. Remember, you still have this room available to you on Mondays and Wednesdays from 1:30 until 4 for the next month. You still have access to that online course. I'm going to give you, this is all in your folder. I'm going to give you a page with all of this on it. You have access to that online course. You have our game shows on Tuesday. I'll have one next Tuesday. You have my in-services once they start up again next year. But you have the skills book that you're taking home with you. You've got the replays of everything that we've done. So you have your worksheets too. You have a ton of review material. I'm not just kicking you out on graduation day saying good luck, bye-bye. We still have opportunities for you to prepare for the test. So I want you to remember, until you test, your learning isn't done. Okay? But we have a ton of opportunities for you. I also have a practice test on the website on foryourcna.com. It's under practice questions. And you have one in your skills book on page 192. So go ahead and turn to page 192. This is a complete 60-question multiple choice test, just like what you would find on the state exam. The questions are written the same way. The answer choices are very similar in scope and presentation. This is a great practice test for you. If you miss 5 or fewer, you are ready for the state exam. If you miss more than 5, you need to go back and review. You're not quite there yet. I have never had a student in my class that missed 5 or less that failed the written test. Never happened. Don't be the first. Okay. So you've got all of that available to you. Page 191. I told you 192, but there it is for you. If you can't come in here and practice, you might want to consider buying a practice kit. They're down here. It has everything you need to practice. It actually has a few more things than what's listed here. We have a denture simulator, a denture cup, and a privacy blanket as well. So all of that is in here for you to purchase if you want. Through today, this is $45.99. After today, it goes back up to regular price on the website, which is $69.99. So we're giving you a huge savings by being a student. Basically, you're getting this for my cost because I want you to practice. But if you come in here and practice, all of that stuff is here. So remember I said you always pay either with time or money, right? So if you can't come in here and practice and pay with time, you probably need to get a practice kit and pay with money, so that you're practicing with the right tools. We also have the flashcards are still on sale today for, I think it's $15.99. Card game is always available to you. That's a really fun way of practicing for the state exam, and it's fun. It's a rummy style game, a lot of strategy to it. And then remember, you have the practice room available on Mondays and Wednesdays, 1:30 to 4. It's on the back of your ID badge. Do you guys remember this? This is the basis of everything we do. When you go into the test, I want you to look at this before you go in. And I want you to remember these 5 things. If you remember those 5 things, it's the care plan, the whole care plan, and nothing but the care plan. CNAs do normal. Remember, normal is routine task on stable patients according to the care plan. The principles, everything that we learn, tells us how, guides our performance. Above everything else, it's all about the patient, and we report everything to the nurse. If you remember those 5 things, you cannot fail the test. I've made it simple. But that's kind of the problem, because I made it easy. And your brains are going, it's too easy. They're going to trick us. It can't possibly be that easy. It is that easy. Don't overcomplicate this. Don't read into the questions. The questions are exactly as they stand. Don't put anything into the care plan. It is exactly as it stands. Okay. And then once you're done with the test, you're going to let me know and you're going to say, oh, yeah, it was way easier than I thought it was going to be. Okay. All right. Remember, you have access to the online course for 12 months. So if you have not gotten in there, this is a good time to do so. Game show is on Tuesday. So now we're at the point that we're going to return our yellow books. Those of you who, we're going to go outside and take a class photo in just a minute. I've answered all the questions on the screen. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and sign off of our live stream. I'm going to collect the books. We're going to go take our class photo and they're going to get their graduation folders. But because I don't put you guys on camera, we're going to sign off before that. And thank you guys so much for joining us for the live class throughout. We will start a new class on September 14th. I hope you join us. We live stream our classrooms Mondays and Wednesdays, 9 to 1. Hope to see you there. Remember, the game show is on Tuesday at 11 on our YouTube channel. So until next time, guys, happy caregiving. Bye.